It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam Lesante and welcome to The Sam Lesante Show, my friends. Well, you know, May 20th, mark it on your calendar. Please get out and vote. It's so important. Now, when you get out and vote, there are people who are running for different offices. In Luzerne County, we have a judgeship. And as you know, I try to bring people on so you get to know who they are, know who the person is. Forget the Democrat, Republican stuff, put it aside. Let's talk about who the person is that hopefully you will not be able to be in front of, but if you are, you want to make sure you have the best person and qualified person. Joining me today is attorney Mark Bufalino, no stranger to the law. He's been around for 30 years. And if you don't mind me calling you Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and I prefer it.
Yeah. It's interesting because we were talking before about, families and so your whole family comes from lawyers, right?
They do. My grandfather was a lawyer. My father was a lawyer, 50 years at the bar, so we're very proud of that heritage.
So going back, I know if someone says, you think you'd be on television when I was 8 years old, I said, are you kidding me? But when did you decide that you wanted to go into law?
So probably at an early age. I'm the youngest of those 5 boys, and so maybe coming in as the caboose of that train, you get to have a little bit more of a feel for what's fair, what's equal, and so you might say it's in my blood.
So you decided that then you went to Dickinson, right?
I did.
Yeah. But of course you had lawyers in your family.
Terrific tutors, terrific role models, not just in the law, but in life and in a lot of different ways.
You know, we're talking about mentors, and you mentioned about your dad, and I feel the same way. I miss my dad every day. He's there. I have a picture with him, and hey, Dad, help me out today. Okay, what do you remember most that you learned from your father as a lawyer and your grandfather that is valuable today?
So, a lot of different things. This show isn't long enough for me to cover all of them, but one of the things that I think about the most is he would often remind us that, being a lawyer is your profession and you want to make a living at it. But he used to say, never forget that being a lawyer is principally about helping people. And so I've taken that to work with me every day.
So, when you talk about helping people, okay, sometimes people have a difficult time understanding that, okay? Mm-hmm. Oh, he just has to say that, or she has to say that because you're running for office, etc. But throughout your years of experiences, you've had many times where I'm sure you had to go over and above the call of duty. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh, most times. And we talk about, a lot of people talk about the profession and sometimes that lawyers can be expensive. There are many times where I've done many things pro bono. I'm very proud of the fact that I was a member at the Back Mountain free legal clinic, which used to meet on, it no longer is in existence, unfortunately, but we used to meet on Friday nights on a rotating basis through St. Teresa's Church in Shavertown. And, those lessons that my father and my mother and the rest of my family taught us, that, the good Lord gives you gifts, and it's incumbent and it's your obligation to use those to the best of your ability. So I'm very grateful about the living I've made practicing law, but I'm equally as proud about the use of my skills to try to help people.
When you're a successful lawyer, I read your background, and I say to myself, which I ask everyone, why the hell do you want to run to be a judge when you're doing so well and you're helping so many people as an attorney?
Well, it's like any profession. Being a judge is the top of the profession, and I don't know anybody that is in a profession that doesn't want to try to reach the top. In addition to that, it's all of that experience, both on the civil side and the criminal side. I mean, in 30 years, I've had nearly, if not more than 30 jury trials, which is a lot. I mean, it's essentially one a year. There are some lawyers that go through their entire career without ever having one. Now, that doesn't make me any better or any worse than them, but it's just, I'm spent my life where you'll often find a judge, which is the courtroom, between trying capital murder cases, trying civil rights cases on behalf of police officers, variety of different criminal cases, a variety of different civil cases. I think I have a breadth of not only experience and knowledge that I can be of terrific service to the people of this county.
So, Mark, as an attorney, when you're going in front of a judge representing your client, okay, what do you look for as an attorney? And then I'm sure what the client looks for. But what do you look for when you're going to Judge Sam Lesante? What are you looking for?
Just fairness, the opportunity to present both sides, and knowing the rules of evidence, knowing the rules is very important. But basically somebody that the good Lord gives you two ears, and we have to use both of them. And so there's two sides of every case, in every case. And so just listening intently, being fair, and following the law.
When you are campaigning, and I noticed you went through your hometown of Pittston, okay, what were you giving, lollipops out or something? Yeah.
Among Tootsie Rolls, lollipops,
Oh, you have
a
the red
variety.
one? If you have the red one?
Yeah, I had both.
Oh, damn it.
A couple green ones, too.
Oh, yeah, I want the red ones. Well, when you're doing that, and it's a lot of fun doing that, particularly when you're in hometown, okay, and hey, Mark, what the hell you running for job, But what are some of the things that people, say to you, other than it's nice to see you, or you've met, but in terms of, being a judge, what do they ask you? What do they say to you?
Well, they ask me essentially what you've already asked me, which is, why do you want to do it? And the answer is still the same. I think I can bring a wealth of experience, knowledge, fairness, and I'm not a stranger to the community. So I've lived here my whole life. So this place matters to me. And so those are all the reasons that go into both responding to you and to them as to why I want to run for this job.
You said you're diverse in legal experience, okay? And you mentioned a little bit about diversity. How important is that for a judge to have?
Well, Sam, if you were going to have a major medical procedure, I don't think anybody would go to the physician or to the hospital and say, I would like to have the person that has never done this before.
I think you're right.
And I think this is very much the same thing. I mean, while not on the same subject matter, when people come to court, very often people's lives hang in the balance.
Absolutely.
Whether it is a murder case, whether it's a divorce and their financial interests, or their children, or their civil business livelihoods. I mean, the decisions that are made in those courtrooms affects people's lives.
When you look at the judgeships throughout the country, and you see sometimes what's happening, you begin to wonder. I think we have a great system now. The court system, the judges are great, doing the best that they can. What will you bring to the table?
I think I bring the knowledge of the law principally, because that's really ultimately our job or a judge's job would be to apply the law properly. And so having a diverse background and having the work ethic that I do have to make sure that the law is applied fairly and accurately at the same time.
Have you seen, not only, not referring to Luzerne County, have you seen any flaws in a judicial system since you've been a lawyer?
I think we have the best system in the world, quite frankly. I mean, we pick juries, we truly do. We put some of the decisions in the hands of our fellow citizens. And when you look around the world, I still think that our system is the most fair. Is it perfect? No. But I think it is the most fair, and a model dating back to our founding fathers. We should all continue to give them thanks.
When I'm hiring someone, and I always look at not only the education, which is, okay, sometimes the smartest people are not the best people, okay? So the people out there who do not know Mark Bufalino, okay, what do you have to say to them?
I have to say that long before I've ever run for this job or asked for their support, that I'm no stranger to you, both as a person and as a lawyer and as somebody that you know they've come to in their lives. That that's the thing about giving to people. You actually get more from giving to people, and so. They're thanking me, but the truth of the matter is I should be the one thanking them.
Isn't that something? Folks, I'm talking to Mark Bufalino. He's running for Luzerne County Judge. May 20th, get to know who he is. If you already know him, you know who he is. But for those who do not know him, get to know who your candidates are. We're going to come back, talk a little bit more to Mark after this break. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7 SSP TV. All of our shows, our YouTube channel. For those of you who do not have cable, you should. And also, we're on the Facebook and many other areas you can get our shows. And I want to thank you for making our show the #1 talk show in Northeastern Pennsylvania. And that comes from Susquehanna Polling and Research scientific poll. We appreciate it very much. Now, May 20th is an important day. It's election day. In Luzerne County, there's a judgeship available. And we're talking to attorney Mark Bufalino, who has been around for 30 years, and telling you why you should vote for him for judge. What have you, through the years of experience, it's like that fine wine, you know, what have you learned or what have you achieved that you think, you know, have you grown into?
So that's the thing about the law. When you first start out, obviously, like in any career, you learn various different things. But as you go on, like you said, that fine wine, that experience, the knowledge, that helps you, particularly in the practice of law, to become better at your craft. Also, it's important to know, in whether it's this job or any other, that sometimes we don't know everything. And the willingness to learn every day, the willingness to be open-minded about the opportunity to learn and to increase your knowledge and to increase your listening ability is an important thing, particularly as you grow, not only in the practice of law, but I think in any profession.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because as you get older in life and you gain that experience, you know, I look back and say, boy, did I screw up many times when hopefully if I only knew then what I know now with the years of experience that you have. And I think that's so critical. You mentioned when you go into hospital, you say, well, you know, you want the doctor who's the most popular. You want the doctor who is the best at what they do. You may not like the way the guy looks or the way she looks, but you want that experience. You know, and I think that's so important. Don't you think so?
It is critically important. It's critically important, particularly when you're dealing with the magnitude of the matters that can come before the court.
Yeah, because you mentioned that it's life-changing. You know, a person in front of you, that's a life-changing. And sometimes a seasoned, you know, lawyer who is a judge just knows you've been around. You know, you're not going to react, boom, right off like when you were younger, at least when I was young, you know, you shoot from the hip and say, oh, man, why did I fire that bullet? I should. Do you find that?
Yeah, you certainly grow like we all do.
Yeah.
But having that knowledge and experience and the temperament is a critically important factor.
When you look at the judgeships in Luzerne County, and the reason why they gave us another judgeship is because of the demand.
There is, yes, the increase in caseload principally.
Okay, so the viewers know, when you're elected judge, or if you're elected judge, then you're assigned, right? How does that work? You get assigned to either criminal, civil, or how does that work?
So that would be up to the president judge principally and the rest of the judges, but that's the thing. Given my experience in both the civil realm, the criminal realm, and the variety of other realms, including, you know, I've handled a multitude of PFAs, I I could be plugged into any one of the divisions of the court to assist them in the increasing caseload that they have. So wherever they put me, if elected, would be fine with me.
So you're prepared for any area, right?
I'm running to go to work for the people of this county in whatever capacity is necessary.
That's interesting, because sometimes say, well, I want to go into family, or I want to go into civil, etc. But each one of them doesn't make any difference. And Mark Bufalino.
No, sir. I'm not running to retire. I'm not running to work less. I'm running to go to work as hard as I have up to this point.
I asked you before, why you want to become judge, and it always fascinates me. Like, Sammy, why do you do talk shows? Why do you do this? Because I enjoy doing that. But the most gratifying thing I have is when someone comes up and they say, I was having breakfast this morning in the place, and maybe 7 or 8 people came up and said, Sam, we watch your show. Thank you for doing this. We're known as the health state. Not to plug our show, but the point is that when you're saying you're giving, you feel good about that. I'm sure there was clients that you had that, just think that you walk on water.
It happened to me last night, ironically.
Yeah.
I was at a function in Hanover, Pennsylvania last night, and a husband and wife came up to me and said, you helped my son, and he talks about you all the time. And while that sounds self-congratulatory for me to say that, the reason I'm reiterating it is not because of me, but because for him to say that makes it all worth it. Sure. Makes it all worth it. Yeah. That, and by the way, that was somewhere back in the 1990s. So for him to remember that really makes it all worth it for me.
So you see, and that happens because, they'll say, when you had me on, I did this, etc. And you didn't think about that until they told you that, I would think, right?
Correct.
And then you think yourself, that must have made you feel really good.
I said to her, you made my night.
If you get up in the morning and you know you're going to do good, and you hopefully want to do good, it'll happen. I'm sure that happens, particularly when you're bringing someone to court. That person's a nervous wreck. How do you calm them?
By being prepared, quite frankly. The courtroom is essentially the culmination of all the terrific number of hours and preparation and time and dedication that most people don't see that leads up to that. I mean, it's hundreds of hours, depending on the type of case. But so when you have somebody that's prepared and that is generally not personally connected to it, but invested professionally of wanting to do the best job that they can, it's like going to that doctor that says, everything's going to be okay, or at least I'm going to do my best to try to make sure that everything is okay. There are a lot of cases that come to the Luzerne County Courthouse, but to the litigants, that's the most important case that has ever been or ever will be. And so as a lawyer, you have to, at least you should, in my opinion, treat them like that. Sometimes it's more difficult than others, but to those litigants, that's the most important case in the world. And so you're right, there are a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of prayers making sure that,
Yeah.
the good Lord gives you the strength to do the best job you can.
Yeah, if you're a good lawyer, and you're representing, you have apathy and sympathy for that particular person, and I could imagine sometimes. What are the toughest cases that you've tried?
There are most of them are tough, but some of the toughest cases are the ones where you know that your client is deserving of a particular result, but there may not be a sufficient amount of evidence to get to that point. You may not agree with the ruling or with the position or any of the statements that are made, but that's our system. It's like going to your father. I'm sure you didn't always like some of the directives that you got,
Yep.
But at the end of the day, your father or your mother, that's the end of the story.
And that's what you had for your dad. Now, Mark, this is your camera right here, and people are watching you, and you're running for judge in Luzerne County, May 20th. Tell our viewers why they should vote for Mark Bufalino for Luzerne County judge.
Respectfully, I'm asking for people's votes because I think I have the experience and the knowledge and the temperament to be the best judge possible. As I said before, I'm not running to retire. I'm not running for stature. I'm not running to work less. I'm running to go to work for the people of this county.
I wish you and I wish all the people who are running for office the best. It's certainly a nice meeting. I heard so much about you.
Thank you for having me out.
Yeah, my pleasure. Also, you know, we try to bring information to our viewers so they can make the best decision. May 20th, my friends, please go out and vote for the person, not for the party. Vote for the person. It's very important to get that right person in, particularly today, and feeling comfortable and secure. We'll see you next time.